Hi again, it's Miss Morel. I am doing another review video on trigonomic ratios that was in your packet. So just to kind of help remember, I do have that mnemonic device written up here on the board. SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. How about, I see John over there. He's raising his hand. Thank you, John. Could you tell us? Okay, so I'm hearing John. He is telling us that the S stands for our sine ratio, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Our cosine is our big C, right? Cosine is the ratio adjacent over hypotenuse. T is our tangent. That is for opposite over adjacent. So I'm looking at these problems that I gave you in the packet. There's quite a few of them here. But if we know those three trig ratios, they should be pretty easy for us to do. All right, so let's look at a couple. So I'm noticing problem, let me see. Actually, I'm noticing none of these triangles are in my rotation, so I'm going to just choose a different one. So let's say, for example, I have the triangle I have here and that this angle is 20 degrees. I'm given that. And I am given that the hypotenuse is 10. And I want to find the length x. And I also want to find the length y. Okay. So SOHCAHTOA, I don't have right now enough information to use Pythagorean theorem. I also don't have a special right triangle here, okay, so I don't want to use either one of those. So I'm going to look at my 20-degree angle, and if I think of myself as standing right here, okay, if I look opposite, that's my x. So I have opposite and I have the hypotenuse. So Diana, I want to use, that's right, I want to use sine. So I'm going to go ahead and set up sine. So I'm going to have sine 20 degrees will be opposite over hypotenuse, so that's x over 10. Now, if you're at home and you don't have a calculator, like I have my calculator right here, okay, but if you don't, on your Chromebook, you have a scientific calculator. I've shown you that a few times. You could go to Desmos, right, and you could also use the Desmos. Just make sure you first go to the tools and make sure it's in degree mode, not radian mode. Okay, so I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to just check, yes, it's in degree mode. So I'm going to do sine 20 degrees, and I'm getting 0.34. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that. This is going to be 0.34 equals x over 10. I'm going to put that 0.34 over a 1, and I'm going to write the cross product, okay? So 0.34 times 10, when I times by a 10, I just move my decimal once to the right. It looks like x is 3.4. There's a point right there. Okay. All right, so that was using sine. Now, what if, right, for example, I don't have y, I need to find that next. Well, same thing, I'm going to look. This was the side opposite. This is hypotenuse. This must be, Lorenzo, what is it? That's right, this is the side adjacent. Great. So I'm going to write cosine 20 degrees, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's going to be y over 10. And I'm going to go through that exact same process. So I'm going to find cosine 20, which looks to be 0.94. So I'm going to write 0.94 equals y over 10. Again, put that 0.94 over 1, write the cross product. I'm going to move my decimal over once. It looks like my y would be 9.4. Okay. Biggest question I know I got from many of you, and this is challenging, right? Is which one am I going to use? Am I going to use sine, cosine, tan? I don't know. Okay, well, that all depends upon your triangle. Okay, so if you have, for example, this same triangle, okay, if I had, let's say, I'm using, again, this angle, if I'm given that this is 5, but I don't have this length, well, I'm going to ask myself, well, is that the side opposite? Is it the adjacent, or is it the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is always going to be across from the right angle. So this will be the hypotenuse, okay? So since I need to find the hypotenuse, I'm going to have to use sine or cosine. I don't have another option, okay? So I'm going to have to use one of those, and then same thing, I'm going to look opposite over hypotenuse. I'm going to use sine, okay? Now, what if the x wasn't there? Let's say it was here. Well, again, I'm going to look at what are the pieces that I have. If I'm right here, this is the side opposite, this is the side adjacent, this is the hypotenuse. I don't have the hypotenuse. Well, then I only have one choice. I can only use, Alberto, what is it? That's right, I can only use tangent. I have to use tangent because it doesn't have the hypotenuse. Okay, any more questions on that? Again, I am available Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. I would love to spend some time working with you. I didn't even mean to make that rhyme, but I did. All right.